The story opens with an explanation about a clan of swordsmen who have controlled almost half of the world. That clan is called Runcandel. People in the clan are famous, will be born with a strong body and extraordinary talent. And because of that, many of the members of the clan control the world with the strength and power they have. Apart from being known as the strongest clan, the Runcandel clan is also known as the Calamity clan because they were involved in a lot of colonial wars and took other people's rights. And in this harsh world, who overcomes the three things is called the ruler of the world. And that's where our main character named Jin Runcandel was born. During the selection ritual that will determine the future of a child, and at that time Jin chooses Patriarch Sword. And because of that, Jin became a child who took on the destiny of a patriarch. While his father knows this, Barasada thinks that his son is very attractive. And after several years, when Jin has grown into a teenager, Jin believes that his future will contain success and glory. But all that was imagined was only hope, because it turned out that Jin had no talent in swordsmanship. On this matter, there are lots of members and civilians who humiliate him because he can't use a sword. As a result of this, Jin became a disgrace to Runcandel and embarrassed his clan. Because Jin's ability is far below the average Runcandel family. And for his family, Jin is nicknamed the weakest Runcandel in history. The scene continues with Jin's twin brothers coming up to him and saying, "Are you still aimlessly swinging that wooden sword again?" And the two of them also humiliated Jin. Where was the Barasada sword that he used to hold? Why don't you use that sword? On the side of Jin, just kept quiet and ignored the words of ridicule from his twin brother. Seeing Jin just silent, made his twin brother angry and kicked Jin until he fell. Not satisfied with this, his twin brother also broke Jin's wooden sword. As well as his twin brother also said, "I don't know how far he's read regarding swordsmanship theory, but still it would be impossible if Jin didn't have talent." Even though he got bad behavior from his twin brother, but here Jin didn't give up and kept fighting hard. Because here Jin still thinks that with enough hard work, I'm sure I can be recognized in this family, and I will become a proud member of the Runcandel's family. Jin naively believed in that hope, because not long after that, Jin was banished from the Runcandel's clan. And as his hard work and training, Runcandel's side just threw him away without killing his appreciation. And 23-year-old Dimiru, Jin was kicked out of the clan and became a vagabond with no sense of direction or purpose. And that's when Jin met my master. At that time, Jin also realized that it turns out that he has a talent that is forbidden in his clan. That talent is magic. 3 years later, after knowing this, Jin studied hard to learn his talent. And after experimenting with linking the mana contained in the realm with the mana of a magician like you can recover mana. And the next strengthening magic you cast. And suddenly a black aura surrounded his body until everything turned black. And suddenly someone spoke, and then the black figure said that he was Solderit, master of all shadows. Solderit says, as a god of shadow person, I offer you a contract. If you agree, not only can you use spiritual power, but the genie can also disable all curses. Jin, who didn't know what Solderit meant, was just silent. In his thoughts, Jin said, does he have a curse? Solderit then continuing his speech, he said Jin had made someone angry. And Solderit also said the reason why Jin's swordsmanship talent didn't come out was because there was a curse. The curse is known as Blade Illusion, where the curse suppresses a person's swordsmanship talent, and the curse must torture Jin because a person's swordsmanship talent is the most important thing. Not long after Solderit opened the curse, he said from now on and in the future there will be no curse that can hurt you. All that's left is fate, where the genie will become the best magic swordsmanship of the century. Happy with this awakening, Solderit will watch over it. On the side of Jin then picked up a sword and tried to swing it. And as Solderit said, the curse has been lost, because now he feels he has talent in swords. And it can be seen when swinging the sword, feels the sword is very light. Even Jin feels like swinging his hand. With this, the weakest Runcandel in history ceased to exist. Because now Jin has become strong with swordsmanship talent and magic talent, where when trying to combine these two talents, Jin believes that no one can beat him. Seeing this, Jin felt happy because his hard work paid off. Not far from there were several people wearing armor and watching Jin from a distance. A few minutes later, the scene changed to the condition of the genie, who was seriously injured due to rubble. It has not yet been explained how the incident happened. What is certain is that the condition of Jin is now unable to move because he is squeezed by rocks. And the bad thing is that no one helps him. In his dying state, Jin thought what was the purpose of his being born. I haven't even gotten around to using the power conferred by the Solderit. In his mind, Jin said, why am I this unlucky? And after losing a lot of blood, finally Jin dead. But apparently, the genie didn't die completely, because he suddenly woke up, and when looking ahead, the genie saw people from the Runcandel clan. When thinking of this, Jin is confused about what happened. Am I not already dead? Then there was a woman who was none other than his sister named Gilly cheering him up. And it turns out that after understanding this condition, it turns out that today is an election ritual. This means Jin was reborn into the past when he was only 1 year old. And in my previous life, I picked up the Barasada sword subconsciously. And in this life, Jin chose to take this war with his consciousness. Like the initial reaction, all clan members are happy with the choice. After the ritual had ended, his father asked to move the genie to Storm Castle. The story continues 6 years later, in Storm Castle to be precise. Where do we see that Jin has grown? Children who? And for 6 years here, Jin has never stopped reading all the books that are in this place for the sake of knowledge. As per the family battle, I have to stay here until I turn 10, so there are still 3 years left. And while looking for a book, suddenly the servant was shocked because there was a dead bird in the young master's room. And when thinking about this, Jin suspected that this deed was carried out by his 2 older twins named Daytona and Haytona. Of course, this was done by the 2 of them to bully him. Meanwhile, from Jin's point of view, do you think that the 2 twins have a very cruel nature? Even just want to play pranks, they dare to kill innocent birds. And when remembering this incident, Jin remembered that before his twin brother had been at flag bearers, they both became evil and brutal. It seems that the act just now has not made them both satisfied. Now they both want to beat the genie, but unexpectedly his 2 twin brothers were surprised because the genie managed to withstand his blows. Jin said to be quiet while emitting a black aura on his hand, and as a result, there was a fight between them. And at the end of the fight, Jin managed to beat them both. Jin didn't want to do it, but because here he is fed up and annoyed, like it or not now he has to teach his twin brothers a lesson. The guard named Khan who saw this was very surprised and asked for clarification about this. Jin here says that the 2 of them fought until they fainted. After hearing this explanation, Khan immediately took them to the hospital, but at that time Jin refused and asked to follow him, which turned out to be a genie going to a forest outskirt and intending to leave his unconscious twin brothers. Seeing this, Khan could not protest and just followed him, and the reason why Jin did this was to make his twin brothers aware of the atrocities they had committed. On the side of Khan, still confused by this situation, before that Khan had seen an aura similar to mana in Jin's body, and because of this important matter, Khan will report to the Patriarch. Meanwhile, on the side of the Jin, it does show it, because by showing it, Khan will report it to the Patriarch. And when the Patriarch knows for sure, the Patriarch will come to see him to confirm it. Then it was explained that the black aura is called spiritual power, and this is proof of my contract with Solderit. Thanks to this, Jin can confirm that the contract also applies to my current life. Plus, because of the curse immunity given by Solderit, can avoid the blade illusion that will curse me. And with this, the disgrace of Runcandel is no longer there. And from now on, the genie is sure that his current life is different from his previous life. Scene switches to the Patriarch, who is at the location of the Haytona and Daytona brothers, where after researching it there is something you want to confirm with him. For that, the Patriarch asked Khan to gather troops and rush towards Storm Castle. Sin turned to the several heirs who were confused by the order from the Patriarch. Then one of the heirs named Diffa said that the Patriarch would meet the youngest brother, and if that's the case they think their youngest brother is a great person. Meanwhile, Jin's side is getting ready because soon the Patriarch will come. After a long wait, the Patriarch finally came. Then the Patriarch asked Tona, brother, to come to see him. Then the Patriarch asked them both if he heard the fight with the Jin. Then what is your mistake in the fight? Hayatona replied that we didn't do anything wrong. Instead, he said that the genie who attacked us first had a strange ability like magic. Next, the Patriarch asked the genie to come here. When he met his father, Jin explained that his father was the strongest being in this era, who had reached the demigod level and was nicknamed Genesis Knight. He said his father was an ordinary man, but after reaching the demigod level, he lost all his human feelings and became someone who craves ambition and power to make his clan the strongest. And in the past, people like him who didn't have swordsmanship talent weren't considered. But now it's different. In this life, Jin is sure that no one can underestimate him. Then before long, Jin opened the entrance to the room to meet his father. After entering, the genie immediately bowed his body as a tribute to his father. The Patriarch then asked, what did you do wrong in that brotherhood fight? With valiant Jin thanks that he revenge, because if someone Runcandel does something, they must accept the consequences of that action, whether it's good or evil. Hearing that answer, the Patriarch asked all soldiers and heirs to come out. Seeing this, the heirs felt surprised, because if their father wanted to talk privately, so that means Jin has been recognized as a great person and will be useful for the clan. Then after leaving, the Patriarch immediately asked Jin that the Tona brothers said that he used an aura similar to mana, and for that, Patriarch wanted to confirm what power was, and if it is magic, then the Patriarch won't let a genie get away with it. And now that his father knows about this, Jin will show his strength. But here he tries not to know his strength, as if that power suddenly came to him. Then the genie immediately showed his strength, where a black aura gathered in his hand. And here Jin asked his father to name this power. Seeing this, the Patriarch immediately remembered one thing, that this power belonged to the first Patriarch. The story continues with Jin showing his power to his father. When releasing black energy in his hand, just as usual his father didn't have any expression. His face was straight, but he saw a legendary figure in Jin's body. His father thought that this child was fated to become a patriarch. Then he explained that this power belonged to Solderit, the god of shadow. It is known that Solderit contracted with the first patriarch of Runcandels, Sir Temer, and is a god who has been with us since the first founding of this family. However, after the death of Temer, Solderit never appeared again in the Runcandels family. The strongest man also doesn't know the reason, but it seems he has returned to the figure of Jin Runcandel. Of course, Jin asked, then do a Solderit was stronger than father? Hearing this, suddenly his father thought, could he fight against the gods? Yeah, that's a good question, but I've never fought a god so I don't know the outcome yet. Jin smiled at the answer because according to him, the answer was very suitable for someone who was nicknamed the strongest man. Then his father held his head and said that he was quite happy to visit him this time. But his father wanted to know how he used the spirit of Barasada. Firmly and raising his hand to his chest, Jin replied that he would use it for the clan. When hearing that made his father laugh out loud, because it was a great lie. He again reminded did beat your brother and left them under the rain and thunder. And after that incident, do you want to say that using that power is for the clan? His father asked Jin to tell the truth, because his father is very difficult to deceive. Like it or not, Jin has to say his purpose that he will use this power for himself. The cynical gaze made Jin even more emphatic in his words. Hearing this answer, his father said that he really liked the way. From now on I will watch over you. He left Jin quite calmly. Meanwhile, Jin felt trembling to talk to his father. After his father left, he was relieved and very satisfied to hear the answer. He smiled broadly, indicating that this was good news for him. He was very happy to be allowed to use spirits freely, but he didn't expect that his father would be watching over him. He brought out the dark energy again and said that he didn't expect that things would go that smoothly, whereas in his previous life, he couldn't even get close to his father, let alone be watched like this. Jin felt that life now was very different from life before. Jin is getting excited and will make good use of this. Coming out of the room, his older sister Mary gave a parcel to Jin. Jin asked what's in the box. Mary said this is a special gift given by your sister. Before leaving, smiling broadly, Mary said boil first, eat right, and get stronger quickly. Jin felt strange about why she gave him the things he should have brought. Jin was even more curious and immediately looked at the contents of the box. Jin and Nanny were very surprised by what they saw. It turns out that there is a heart with enormous energy. It turned out to be Phoenix Heart. Jin was confused and asked why she gave this item to a 7-year-old child. Then we explained the figure of Mary Runcandel. She is the 7th heir of Runcandels and a 6-star knight. Her nickname is Stormwind Mary. Moreover, she has a secret name, the Southern Region's Mad Woman. Jin thought that the battle-crazed Mary had given away a precious item like this. Then she definitely wanted it to grow up quickly in order to fight against her older sister. Jin went to the dining table and waited for the food to be ready. While waiting for the dish, he thought that by consuming the heart of the phoenix at such a young age, I will definitely gain fire resistance, and also will speed up my development. If I'm not mistaken, Phoenix Heart is required for 6-star mages to summon Phoenix safely, and if deducing from here, then in the age of maturity, and in this lifetime Jin can summon a real Phoenix with his own hands. His imagination stopped from Nanny, who had served the food very deliciously. But before taking the fork, Jin was disturbed by his 2 older brothers. His 2 older brothers said it looks like Gilly must be preparing the food not just for one person. The point is they both want to eat delicious food. Before giving it, Jin asked the 2 of them for one order, namely to dig a place in the here area. Without thinking, they went straight to the place and dug it. After digging the place deep enough, they began to notice something strange. Why did Jin ask him to dig this place? Actually, they don't know whether this place can be excavated or not, but what is certain is that if someone blames it, then this is Jin's business. So they kept digging into this place until it was complete. After that, we see the strange place of the excavation, where down there turns out to be a secret room. Inside that place is a large bottle with a person inside. I don't know who this man is, one thing is certain. He has the same energy as Jin. Back to the dining room story, Jin's 2 older brothers have finished the excavation. Their clothes are dirty and full of soil. Jin was impressed by their being very fast, so he gave them food to them. Jin turned out to be very stingy. He only left 2 spoons. This made his 2 older brothers annoyed and angry, but they couldn't scold him. Next, Jin headed to the excavation site. When entering the place, Jin was quite surprised because the 2 of them seriously dug this place deep enough. He tapped on one of the earthen walls. He felt that the thickness of the wall is enough to use 1-star magic. Coincidentally, Jin is very stressed to hold mana in his body, but this moment is the past to use this magic. He focused his energy on both of his hands. The green energy was getting bigger. Jin then stretched his hands and cast a spell on the wall. In an instant, the wall was destroyed. He was very happy to see this, and finally, I can be here. In front of him is Runcandel's secret library room. It was known that Jin had never even visited this place in his previous life. It feels a little strange to be in this place. Jin still remembers the incantation to open the library. He directly chanted the spell. Runcandel's child had arrived to comfort Muraken. Finally, the big door opened immediately. The Runcandel Secret Library is the repository of the many secret collection books of the Runcandel clan, which have been suppressed for over 1,000 years. And this place only allows Runcandel flag bearers. In his previous life, his older brother had said that Jin didn't need to know about a flag bearer because he didn't have the right to be one. But that knowledge was only useful. Now, I'll put it to good use. While exploring the library deeper, Jin found something strange in front of him, which is the man in a pretty weird tube. When looking at it in more detail, it turns out that humans have scales. Then Jin was even more curious and touched the tube. At that time, he just remembered something that was a big legend thousands of years ago. The none other human before him was Black Dragon Muraken. According to information known to Jin, Black Dragon Muraken was defeated by the first patriarch and rested for quite a long time. Here Jin did not expect it because the legend is really real. He looked at the tube while opening his eyes wide. Even though he was curious, what he was looking for was not this problem, but all the secret books in this place. As Jin leaves the canister, we can see Muraken can move his finger a little. Meanwhile, Jin had found a room full of secret books from various clans. He was interested in the secret book of the Swordmaster clan Kunjin. But when he read it, he was in trouble because the content was quite difficult to understand with 3-star level theory. Actually, Jin wanted to take it, but this library is forbidden to take books out. So the right solution is to copy it bit by bit. Since it was getting late, Jin decided to go back and read the book he had copied. The next day Jin returned to copy the book. Then suddenly he felt a terrible energy in the library. Jin felt confused. Is there anyone here? Next, we have seen someone with burning eyes with sharp teeth opening a door. Jin, who saw that, felt panicked and also confused as to why he was here. And it turns out that the mysterious man is Muraken. He didn't expect that Muraken could rise. He remained calm because according to the news, Muraken is the dragon guardian of Runcandel. So if I be polite and act like a child, he will let me off easily. Jin cast a spell and said, as a child of Runcandel I welcome the guardian of the clan. When he heard this, Muraken was very angry and immediately scolded him. He is very angry why you treat me like a guard. Even though he couldn't control his emotions like that, Muraken still couldn't throw tantrums at a child like this. Since he couldn't do anything to him, Muraken says he woke up smelling something interesting after a long time. But it turned out that the smell was coming from a small child. Of course, it made Jin confused. How could Muraken smell the spiritual energy in my body? Muraken explained that even though he has been asleep for thousands of years, he still remembers this smell. This was a smell that only a contractor like Temur would have. Obviously, getting this fact made Jin stunned. He thought the reason why Muraken was able to wake up was because of my spiritual energy. Because he was looking for spiritual energy, Jin immediately showed it in front of him directly. Jin explained that this was the power of the god of shadow, Lord Solderit. When he heard that Muraken became weak, that it was the strength of the contractor promised for thousands of years. With a face of disbelief, is it true that this boy is the successor? Muraken says that he has a promise with Solderit, and the one who must fulfill that promise is you, his successor. Actually, Muraken wants to explain in detail, but because Jin is only 7 years old. But he will introduce him to the successor of Solderit. Muraken releases dark energy, the energy covers his whole body. He pronounces, I am Muraken, messenger and final successor of the first shadow. In accordance with the agreement thousands of years ago, from now on I will follow him. Here we are shown the true form of Muraken, who is a dragon. His form was very terrible and very strong. It didn't take long for them to form a contract. Black Dragon Muraken, commonly called Mount Muraken, is an area that is always hit by windstorms, and it is he who has ruled the area for a long time. However, thousands of years ago, he was defeated in a battle against Ciaron Runcandel. After that incident, Muraken falls into darkness, but not like that's the truth, which turns out to be the first patriarch and the guardian dragon friends. He made a concurrent contract together with the guardian dragon, and until now the secret regarding dragon who is friends with Solderit is still a mystery. But that fact made sense when Muraken fell into darkness. Then the genie wondered, is it because Muraken woke up? I will also get a guardian dragon too. And at this opportunity, he will take advantage of this opportunity to ask many things that he does not know. The first question is, does Muraken still remember his fight against Temur? But Muraken couldn't remember that, because he had been asleep for thousands of years. One thing she definitely likes is strawberry pie. Here Muraken is a little impressed with what the genie has been doing for a few days in this library. He didn't expect that a 7-year-old child could understand even 30% of it. Instead, Jin said that this was something normal because he was the son of Runcandel. Jin explained wanting to surpass his entire family with his own strength. He asked whether the first patriarch had comprehended this kind of book at such a young age. Murakin explained that the 7-year-old Temur did not understand a word of the book, but actual combat was much different compared to theory. Even though he can't read the book, Temur is a child who can fight very well. Jin is as talented as Temur, but he's not as good as Temur. When he heard that, the genie felt a little frustrated. Was it impossible for him to be as strong as a friend? Murakin replied that Jin was a genius and could read the book. At this age, all he had to do was study hard. If you can do it, then you can be as strong as Temur and even surpass him. Murakin tells one important thing about Solderit. Solderit also has the nickname Infinite. Solderit's power knows no bounds. It also means your strength has no limits. As motivation, Murakin will teach him a new skill. The skill is called Spiritual Release. This skill can be used after mastering spiritual power, and is the beginning and end of the use of spiritual power. But the side effects, if you don't practice seriously, it can be very dangerous. First, Murakin asked to learn Mana Release and Mana Transfer, and coincidentally, once the genie has practiced the two skills thousands of times, he immediately showed it in order to train today. Obviously, seeing that made Murakin shocked because he didn't expect Jin to have mastered it. And because you have mastered it, Murakin will show the Spiritual Release skill. Then we can see there is a very dark shadow appearing from Murakin's feet. Every shadow that exists in the world emerges from the will of Solderit. And if you can master it, then you can become the master of all shadow. You can see that there is a very strong energy from Murakin's body. It was clear that seeing this power amazed Jin until his eyes opened very wide. The story moves somewhere. A girl is seen killing monsters easily. That woman was Luna. The woman turned out to be doing a mission to clean some areas. Luna asks subordinate, what does a 9-year-old child look like? 6 months after meeting Murakin, the Tana brothers leave Storm Castle. Before their departure, the genie escorted them to the gate and bid them farewell. After that, Jin returned to his room. At that time, Gali gave him a surprise by making a birthday cake, which turns out Jin is now 9 years old. Gali was very happy in celebrating his master's birthday. Of course, Jin was very happy to receive a birthday present like this. His face looks happy. Even though it's his birthday, Jin asks Gali to share with everyone. On that happy day, there was a man who came to Jin. The man's name is Khan. Earlier, Khan apologized for interrupting young master's happy day, but this is an important order. Khan informs that Lady Luna is coming to visit, and currently, Lady Luna is already in the palace. When he heard that, Jin was surprised and wondered, while Gali also seemed confused by Lady Luna's arrival. Luna is the first heir of Runcandel and a 9-star knight. She was the child of 13 children, commonly known as the White Whale Runcandel. Even though she was the strongest among the Runcandel brothers, she had no intention of becoming a patriarch, as well as staying away from the dirty fight known as the Air War. This is the reason why Luna is known as the lone white whale who moves alone. That's why, until now, she hasn't really shown much interest in the other brothers. And in his previous life too, Jin wasn't very familiar with her, even though they were strangers. Then the problem this time is, what is the real purpose of Luna coming here without any announcement? While staring at Luna's arrival, he thought, what happened in our family? Is it possible that she knows if there is someone who can open the Runcandel secret library? Without thinking, he immediately greeted his older sister. Calmly, Jin stood straight in front of him. He said, if I had known you would come, I would have dressed more appropriately to meet you. Hearing that, the Luna we see like a cold person was not like that. It turns out that despite having great strength, she is a woman in general. She said that Jin was very cute, but she didn't need to make an announcement to visit her little brother. Suddenly, this action made Jin feel shocked until he looked pale because he didn't expect Luna to have a gentle nature. Luna got worried about Jin's condition. Jin suddenly told me that this is the first time I've seen Luna up close. I think it's only natural that I'm cornered. When hearing this, Luna felt guilty and looked very upset. But this is a Runcandel family tradition for the heirs watching each other, picking up or stepping on each other. Then she thought, does Jin think I'm watching him? Luna clasped her hands, apologizing to Jin that she just remembered. The reason why Jin was scared was because he was the youngest of the Runcandel family. Then she asked Jin to speak alone. Because Luna wanted that, he immediately asked the guard to get out of this place. Luna immediately talked about the reason why she came here, the reason. After his father visited him yesterday, Jin's behavior received the attention of the other siblings, meaning that if Jin leaves Storm Castle, the other brothers will be watching over you. Holding her little brother's hand, she hopes you don't forget your own happiness by involving yourself in family fights. She hoped that Jin wouldn't suffer because of the traditions of the Runcandel family. Jin, with his eyes wide open, concluded that this was the reason why Luna had given up being a patriarch. He was starting to wonder why Luna didn't tell him in his previous life. Of course, that made Jin feel confused until he thought that Luna looked down on him. Or I don't deserve to compete with them. Despite such confusion, Jin replied firmly that he had no intention of getting out of this fight. The reason why he didn't come out was because he had previously experienced an assassination attempt. Of course, Luna was very surprised and asked who would dare to do such a thing in Storm Castle. She gave off terrible energy, plus her eyes flashed, and wanted to kill the person. Jin told him that he doesn't know the culprit yet. One thing is for sure. His current condition is fine. Luna immediately hugged Jin tightly, saying that her younger brother had gotten into the family's dirty fight. This made Luna sad, but she also couldn't do anything. Next, Luna apologized for making his birthday a little sad. She said that she actually came here to give a birthday present. She took out a box and inside was a very nice looking turkey. Luna immediately put it on her younger brother. If Jin can't solve the problem he's handling, it's better for Jin to immediately destroy the necklace, then I'll come straight to you where you are. Then with great pride, Luna said happy birthday to her younger brother. After celebrating the birthday, Luna immediately left because there was a mission to be done. Jin went straight to Muraken's place. Muraken was quite surprised by the necklace worn by Jin because the necklace is very rare. Muraken explained that it was an artifact from the demon lord Orgel. Thousands of years ago, everyone risked their lives to obtain the artifact. Its function is to provide resistance to 5-star magic attacks and below, as well as increase the magic ability of the wearer. Muraken asked whether the person who gave the necklace was a powerful energy who had just arrived before. Hearing that, Jin was surprised because Muraken could feel the energy from his older sister to that extent. It's even possible that his big sister also knows my energy. But Jin doesn't need to panic. If Luna gives the artifact, then Luna won't tell anything to her family. 1 year later, before leaving Storm Castle, Jin had to train one last time in this place with his mentor. It is clear that this 1 year, Jin has grown quite rapidly. Attack and physical begin to increase drastically. The mentor who saw Jin's development in the past few years was very impressive. Maybe even this is what attracted the patriarch to him. The mentor is grateful and very proud of the young master for everything he has done so far. After practice, Jin went to the break room and there he touched the flame of the candle in front of him. Gilly was a bit surprised. Why would Jin do something like that? Jin replied that this fire doesn't feel hot at all. This means Mary's gift is good enough for him. Even Jin felt that he could master it in the next few years. While Jiley will prepare the luggage to be brought tomorrow, Jin asks Gilly to take the book apart because on the journey he will read it. While Jiley prepares everything, Jin heads to the library to meet Muraken. He asked him, "How do you follow me to Runcandel?" Muraken with his bright face said that he needn't worry, because he can easily follow him without being noticed, because I am Black Dragon Muraken. Even though he is currently weak, my current strength is enough to hide from brats like them. The reason why he can be weak like that is because Muraken has been asleep for thousands of years. Muraken says I will get stronger if Jin gets stronger, so hurry up and become as strong as Magic Swordsman Temer. Hearing that made Jin surprised. Why did Muraken say that Runcandel was a magic swordsman? It was then that he remembered that in his previous life, the Runcandels were a family of magic swordsmen and that its first patriarch was the strongest magic swordsman of all time. But no one knows this fact. The reason why the Runcandels forbade using magic was because of the despicable treaty from 1,000 years ago. Muraken explained that his appearance would definitely make the Runcandels uncomfortable, but 1,000 years before they would definitely glorify him. The problem this time, if Muraken leaves this place, then what should we do with the empty canister? Muraken will use Dragonic to duplicate me in it, so for a while maybe it won't get caught. The problem is again, Muraken can't keep on holding the duplication because his strength hasn't fully returned yet. But Jin doesn't need to worry because I will hold him until you grow up. Hearing that, Jin felt relieved because Muraken turned out to be reliable. In exchange, he gave a pretty delicious pie and wine made live by Gilly. With pleasure, Muraken received it with a blushing face. The next day, Gilly told Jin, after leaving this place, home practice would be more difficult and hectic, so I will work even harder. Then behind him, there are 2 guards who are ready to accompany Jin to his house. They were both Jerome and Holtz. After all the preparations were finished, they immediately started their journey. In 1790, on October 30th, Jin left Storm Castle to head to Runcandel's mainland, the Garden of Swords. On the way, it seems that the snow is getting thick and the train is starting to be difficult to walk. This meant they had to wait in the nearest village first. Gilly explains if the snow is this thick then we can't use the transfer gate. During the conversation suddenly there was a loud shake, it seemed the train hit something. Guard says there is an attack ahead, so wait inside the train. Jiley immediately hugged Jin very tightly saying that the guards are strong enough, they are 7 stars. If you look at it from here, there are around 20 warriors and magicians. There might be archers. According to Jiley, among the enemies, there is no one above Bintang 7. Jerome and Holt should have been able to handle it. But Jin felt strange and asked Gilly to get off the train. The reason why Jin said this is because the guardian knight Runcandel must not abandon the son of the Runcandel family. This means that one of them must be by my side at all times. Jin felt that 2 of the guards were traitors. There may also be a secret tool stored on this train. When he heard that, Gilly was very angry and annoyed. How dare someone betrays Runcandel? Then we see the original figure of Gilly, who turns out to be she is a fighter type. In her hand, there are 3 claws that are quite hard and sharp. She instantly smashed the chariot with her claw. Finally, they both managed to get out of the train. Annoyed faces appeared on both of them. Gilly immediately took Jin from the train, but Jin stopped him. He asked Gilly to go to the bodyguard's place. There is something I need to make sure of. Gilly immediately stopped and heard what the young master meant. Jin explained that the enemy could be on our side. If the assailants are after me, the best time to kill me is when I get off the train. But it's strange that until now we are even safe like this. Quickly, Gilly immediately moved there. There they were both very surprised because there were so many enemies waiting. None other than they come from the Leaf Emblem and the Black Beast Emblem. They were from the Yuta clan, the Magician clan from Middle, as well as the Black King's mercenaries. Then from above, there was an army that shouted Jin Runcandel. The army immediately rushed towards him. To his surprise, they were soldiers of the Black King. Black King coming here to save Jin at the request of the Runcandel family. The chief was furious. Why would the guards dare to do this? The 2 guards immediately moved to attack but were stopped by the Black King's troops. Before the fight takes place, Jin asks Gilly to kill one of the guards, while the other just cut off his hand and brought him here. Upon receiving the command, Gilly immediately lunged forward with burning eyes. With a single move, she could kill the bodyguard without getting hurt at all. The other guard tries to run away, but Gilly quickly slashes his hand off. The bodyguard didn't move at all. In front of Gilly, Gilly immediately dragged him to Jin's place. The Jin told the traitors that they had underestimated us. He explained that to become Runcandel's caretaker, that person must at least be a 7-star martial artist. This means that to kill Runcandel's son, they need 4 8-star knights. Receiving such insults, the traitor refuses to accept them and says that the Runcandel era will end. Jin casually replied that it would not be the Runcandel era that would end, more precisely the Jin Runcandel era would begin. The traitor feels sick, saying good luck to Zipful. The Zipful is a clan that rules the other half of the world. It was the opposite of Runcandel, who was aiming for the peak of swordsmanship. Instead, they aim for the pinnacle of magic. Thousands of years ago, when the first patriarch died, Zipful forced Runcandel to sign an agreement that prohibited Runcandel from using magic. As a result of the agreement, all members of the Runcandel family are sealed and cannot use magic. For Runcandel, Zipful is a 1,000-years-old archenemy. After hearing the man's words, he became even more curious about that person. Jin asked Gilly to get rid of this traitor. Today's incident is different from their usual activities. They must have a self-propelled extremist group. But what caught Jin's attention this time was Gilly. He thought maybe Gilly was that guy's errand. The story continues with Gilly, who completes orders from Jin to seriously injure the enemy. And here Jin thanked Hino as chairman of the 3rd division of the Black King group. On the side, Hino himself said that it was my job, so the Jin doesn't need to thank him. In his mind, Hino said, what kind of this kid? He was also confused even though Jin was still a child. But in this condition, he could calm down without the slightest fear. And what made Hino confused again was that Hino had heard the Jin say that his era had come. Hino, who doesn't want to know about it, won't bring it up again, because now what's more important is guarding and asking his subordinates to be alert to the border. Meanwhile, his subordinates felt confused about Hino's orders because he rarely ordered them to be careful. And after ordering his subordinates to be on standby, Hino started to continue his journey to escort the Jin to the border. But before that, Gilly asked the Jin, is it okay to leave an enemy who is still alive in a place like that? Jin replied, even if they are found alive or dead, it will be an example for their comrades to dare to deal with him. Then Gilly told me that there was a village a distance of 2 hours from here. Jin, who knows this, then asks to stop there until the snow stops. Besides that, Jin also told Gilly not to feel guilty for the guards because it wasn't his fault. Jin told even a 9-star knight like Khan wasn't aware of that. So for you who are a 7-star knight, realize it is impossible. So Jin asked Gilly not to feel guilty because the enemy is smarter than us. So why is Jin here so kind to Gilly? I don't know under any circumstances, even though he is weak. And in his previous life, when Jin was expelled from the clan, Gilly was also expelled. Even at that time, it wasn't that Gilly regretted her actions. Instead, she apologized to herself for not being able to serve him properly. And that's why Gilly is irreplaceable in his life. But here Jin feels, if Gilly continues to act like that, then she can make it difficult for herself. For this reason, the Jin asked Gilly to be firm like the other servants. Soon they arrived at the village and headed to the inn to rest. While there, Jin realized that there was a fake guardian knight, and when he thought about this, Jin thought there was a high probability that he was involved. And someone in question is Transformer Bouvard Gaston. Transformation is the skill of the dragons. However, not all dragons can transform perfectly, and Bouvard can transform perfectly. Then he used that power for many crimes and ended up bringing chaos to the world. And if the prediction is correct, then this will be very difficult. But for now, he hasn't done anything flashy so far. and in his previous life, he was detained by the Vermont Special Forces when he was only 20 years old. And here Jin thought he would make him a friend because maybe he would be useful. But before that, he had to make sure first what his personality was, because if he made a wrong move he could draw a sword at him. And because thinking too hard the Jin finally fell asleep. And when Jin woke up he heard the sound of a cat, and when he approached it turned out that it was a mutt who had changed into a cat to follow him. Of course here the Jin didn't expect this, because he thought that Murakan would change shape to become a cashier or waitress. Murakan argued that if he disguised himself as his servant, then his clan servant could notice him as soon as possible. Because he was so excited, Murakan's leg got stuck and was shocked. Of course, Gilly, who was outside, immediately went inside and pointed his claws at Murakan. Jin explains that Murakan is an ally, as well as the Jin also explains that Murakan is a black dragon and someone's guardian. Of course, upon this fact, Gilly apologized for her reckless act. Murakan forgives him because Gilly often gives him strawberry pie. And because Gilly already knew about this, the Jin asked Gilly not to share this information with anyone. Because if the clan knows about it there will be chaos that makes the plan complicated. Hearing this order, Gilly promised not to tell the clan or anyone else. A day later they arrived at the teleportation gate located in Middle. And after completing his assignment, Hino as the head of Division 3 Black King permitted to say goodbye. While Jin thanks his bodyguard, Dan will soon notify the clan to send a well-deserved reward for their hard work. Before leaving, Hino asked Gilly McLaren. Hino asked her, why did someone as talented as you leave the McLaren family and become Runcandel's nanny? Here Jaylee just said that it is not important to discuss. Now, because Jaylee didn't answer, Hino then said goodbye and left. Then Jin and Gilly went inside to register. While inside the guard they asked to show their ID. Jaylee then claims a Runcandel clan badge and requests to travel to the Hufester Alliance troop. And after checking the guard is working at a premium place, and time to travel they have to wait 2 hours. While waiting for Gilly to ask the Jin what if Murakan gets caught, because if it gets to years it will be complicated, especially in Runcandel no one can do something like that. Jin here asks to calm down because he has a way of hiding Murakan. And their conversation was cut astray. A boy came along with some servants. The boy wears the golden dragon mark, and the boy is called Zippel. It seems that Zippel doesn't like Runcandel's presence here. Of course, Zippel's attitude makes Murakan angry and bites him, while on the side of the Jin didn't give any reaction, as if he didn't want to deal with a naughty boy like him. But it seems that because here Zippel is a person who can't keep quiet, he then approached Jin and introduced himself as Varen and Zippel. Here Zippel apologizes for his impoliteness earlier, and only here it is revealed that in a previous life when Zippel was growing up, he became a genius wizard and possibly became the next heir of the Zippel family. And in the past, Jin thought that Zippel was very strong and very different from him. But now Jin feels that now he is his equal. Then they exchange pleasantries and give each other advice. And the end of the conversation was that Zippel felt interested and wanted to be his friend, but because their clans were hostile, the Jin would one day become his nemesis in the future. After waiting for 2 hours, finally, the teleportation process has started. Then a warning sound is heard that if the side effect of using the teleportation tool is, users will experience headaches or nausea. So the guard asked the users to hold on for a bit. Not long after that they arrived and were greeted by a housekeeper named Pedro, and the place house in question is Runcandel's main residence, which is called the Garden of Swords. Can be seen in the courtyard of the house filled with very many swords, where those merchants were the owners of deceased clan members, and the reason why all their swords were stuck in the courtyard was because the patriarch made this area a symbol of the dreams and hopes of all Runcandel. And one day when Jin dies, he will also put his weapon here. And in his previous life, Jin was extremely weak and talentless. But why did Moi used to think that he could do it with hard work? And when entering the courtyard it was seen that the heirs and the patriarch himself welcomed him. And the first person to greet him was his mother, Rosa Runcandel, who is nicknamed the Black Panther, while his father was immediately focused on the cat brought by the Jin. His father said, "Did you pick him up on the road?" Jin replied that he adopted him. That answer made his father happy and wanted to know the cat's name. Jin named the cat after the prophet Runcandel. Diffus, who heard this, couldn't accept it. Why did the Jin name the cat after clan? Patriarch then asked the reason why the Jin named his cat with the name clan. Jin said he did that so he could be responsible for his pet. And of course, if he has to be responsible then the cat deserves a clan name. Patriarch here is not angry about that, but Jin must know something. Jin said that he knew if his cat hurt someone then he would avenge it. Hearing the logical answers and the haughty nature of Jin made the patriarch smile and asked the heirs to be prepared to educate the brave youngest son. 4 years later, early summer 1794. Jin is 14 years old and has become a cadet novice 2-star knight. Jin's appearance was very different from when he was in his previous life. His physique and appearance had also changed. He is now seen to have finished training with an instructor named Garen Altamiro, and after the next practice is over, Jin will practice with Lady Luna. And because Jin needed to rest here, he immediately headed to the canteen to eat with the other cadets. While in the cafeteria, Jin was brought to eat by his friend named Bellup, where this Bellup is an ordinary person and is still 13 years old. And during his previous life, Jin remembered that he would soon be disqualified from training, and his rights as a cadet will be taken away. But on the part of Bellup, who didn't know this, still felt happy with his current state. Here the Jin feels sorry for giving him the advice to be firm and not talk much. Because of that, people look down on you. And here the Jin asks him to puff out his chest and show pride in himself. Pride is a guardian knight and cadet from Runcandel. But even so, the Bellup is still insecure because his grades are the lowest and he's not even 1 star yet. Jin encourages him, even though he's at the bottom rank, but he asks to be confident, because when compared to 13-year-olds in general, his degree is higher if he is on Runcandel. Once upon a time, the Jin understood that because of such a Bellup attitude, he was disqualified. But here the Jin doesn't believe why a child as good as him can become a member of the Wonder Clan and become a loyal dog of the Vermont Empire, especially being a cold-blooded mass murderer. In the past, Jin was shocked by the news, but he was also sad because Bellup also ended in suicide. Sorry for that, Jin wouldn't let Bellups have such a damn life again. After lunch, Jin continued training with Lady Luna, and the exercise that underwent was the same as yesterday. But here Lady Luna asked Jin to treat this practice differently from day to day. Of course, because in his previous life, the Jin had never practiced like this, making him hard. So he had to find a way to get it done as quickly as possible. Lady Luna then explained that this exercise is very important for one's swordsmanship. But even though Jin can do it here, he is still confused about the purpose of this practice. On the other hand, Luna was very proud of Jin, because it was rare for level 2 cadets to learn this exercise quickly, and she was sure that next year Jin would be able to fully understand the practice. Next, Garen asked all the cadets to assemble. Garen explained that this exercise will greatly affect your grades. It is also the best shortcut to becoming a guardian knight. And the training for the Jin is quite different because Garen was asked by Lady Rosa to make the Jin fight today's top 10 classes. And if the Jin can complete the order, then next year he will be allowed middle class training. Seeing this, Jin was quite happy. Because he could level up faster, he would be much faster to become strong. Then the training begins, where the cadets are selected to become opponents for the Jin. After all are selected, it's Jin's turn to prepare to complete the task of defeating 10 cadets. And because of Jin's previous record of defeating 8 cadets, now he must try harder to beat 10 cadets. And it seems that the first cadet he fought was Ciaron Runcandel. In terms of ability, Mesa is very strong and has a variety of attacks, and here because Mesa is the first enemy, Jin tries not to use his full strength. Because if he did, he would have a hard time facing the other 9 cadets. Whereas inside from Mesa, you feel belittled because the Jin doesn't exert all of its abilities. Of course, this made her angry and launched an attack on him. But unexpectedly the Jin counterattacked and broke his wooden sword. With that, Mesa lost badly, especially here. Mesa was surprised because the Jin had attacked his sword in the same part until it broke. This amazed him, because rarely can someone attack the same place over and over again. After successfully defeating Mesa, Jin proceeded to fight the remaining cadets. And as expected with his current strength, this was nothing. Garen, who saw this, was very proud and said that he could join the middle group starting next year. And because the practice was over, Garen asked everyone to rest and enjoy the food that was prepared. But here the Jin doesn't want to rest yet, because there are still people he wants to fight. And someone the Jin wants to fight is Bellups. He does this and wants to dictate Bellups so that people don't underestimate them anymore. Meanwhile, on the Bellup side, there was confusion about the duel invitation, but because this was an order from the Jin, he had to do it like it or not. In his mind, Bellup said, "Is it because I'm weak?" so that he can show his abilities. Before the fight started, Jin said, "I'm tired after facing 10 people, but on the other hand, you're still fine. Even so, I am still stronger than you, that's why I want to fight against you." Without a signal, Jin immediately attacked the Bellup, who was still not ready. But fortunately, Bellup managed to withstand attacks from Jin. Seeing this, Jin was very happy because even though he was still not ready, Bellups could withstand his attacks perfectly. But that attack was only the beginning because, in the next attack, Jin intended to tackle him. As a result of this sudden attack, Bellup could not avoid it and fell. While the unsatisfied Jin threatens Bellup, if he stays like that then he can kill him. Those words made Bellups angry and he got up while taking out aura on his sword. Suddenly seeing this, everyone was shocked because they didn't believe Bellup could control aura at such a young age. Mesa, who saw this, asked Garen to stop the fight. But it seems here Garen can't do anything because the Jin refuses to be stopped. Meanwhile, on the side of the Jin said to Bellup, "If he can use aura, don't hold back." Those words made Bellup furious and immediately took the attack. Of course, the sword coated by aura managed to break Jin's weapon. because basically aura can strengthen something on the object that is covered. Jin's reaction was quite surprising because he did not expect Bellops to be this strong. Indeed, before Bellops had different physical and fighting styles. But what makes him lose is that Bellop is not confident in his strength. Even though Jin has lost his weapon here, Jin still survives. Until one day Jin finds an opening and counterattacks by locking his movements. With that, the fight ended with one by Jin. At the end of the fight, Bellop asked Jin why he did this to him. Jin only replied that your attitude like that, it would make your life difficult. Moreover, he is in the Runcandel clan, which has a hard and absolute education. Hearing these words, Bellop only remained silent and contemplated his life. In an unknown place, Patriarch heard the news that Jin did something interesting. Seeing the different nature of Jin, Patriarch will make something interesting for Jin, where he asks Khan to find a mission involving Jin and his friends. Here the Patriarch will test Jin on whether his kind nature can be exercised in dangerous conditions. The scene continues in January 1795, where Jin has leveled up to become a 3-star knight at the age of 15 years. And because it's a holiday, some of the cadets are going home and the rest are practicing on their own. And because now Jin has advanced to the intermediate level, he is required to use a real sword. So many cadets ordered their swords to blacksmiths, and since Jin doesn't have a sword yet, he has to find a suitable sword for me in the family arsenal. And someone who offered him a sword, Lady Luna, where Luna recommends a sword that is suitable for Jin. And here Jin is also happy because Lady Luna is an experienced person and understands the sword better than him. And here Jin is sure that the sword of his brother's choice must be very suitable for him. But the fact that the sword that Lady Luna was carrying was far from what she had thought. Because the sword is too big and looks tacky. Lady Luna recommends this because she used to use this sword. This sword is called Bailey's Slaughterer, and this weapon is made almost similar to the sword she has now. Of course, here Jin refused subtly and said the sword was too big, so with a strong physique like this it would be difficult for him to use it. Well, because Jin refused this sword, Lady Luna took Jin to the armory. So because at that time Lady Luna remembered that the sword chosen by Jin when he was little was the Barasada, Lady Luna showed a sword that was similar to the Barasada sword. The sword was named Bradamante, where this sword was used by the first Patriarch. Seeing this sword, Jin was amazed, because he didn't expect that Lady Luna would give him a great sword like this. And the reason why Jin likes this sword so much is that this sword is most compatible with spiritual power. Here the Jin is very lucky Lady Luna gave it to him, because if he chooses the sword himself, then his brother will protest and lead to a fight. Of course, because Lady Luna gave them this precious sword, Jin will return Lady Luna's kindness as soon as possible. But Lady Luna replied that Jin did not need to reply. But here she asked the Jin to use the sword as well as possible. After leaving the weapons warehouse, Jin returned to his room and wanted to show this sword to Muraken. But the reaction from Muraken ignored him and instead suggested returning the sword because the sword would be useless if Jin had not been able to control spiritual power. Muraken explains that using the sword requires control to be at least 3 stars, and since Jin is still 2 stars, Jin cannot use the sword's full abilities. But on the side of Jin, he thought differently. He said that soon he would reach star 3, so surely now he can use it. Muraken, who heard the words, was very angry and said Barasada and Bradamante are not swords that can be used as they please. 3 stars is the minimum limit, as well as Muraken also added that even the children who won the spiritual power contest could not do it yet. So here Muraken is only advising him, don't use that sword if he can't control spiritual power yet. Because if that happens then Jin will know the consequences. Their conversation was interrupted when suddenly Gilly came inside and told Jin that Garen wanted to meet him to discuss the mission. Hearing this, Jin already expected it, because sooner or later he will be given a mission, because now he is middle class. When they arrived at the meeting place, Garen explained that the Patriarch had given a mission to Jin and the 9 other cadets, where the mission will be divided into 2 groups, and the mission is to infiltrate the border with the Jan Empire. Hearing this, Jin was very shocked, because he didn't expect the first mission he was on to be quite dangerous. Moreover, in the area of the Jan Empire that is almost into the Beastmen's territory, the area marked Daipeta is also close to the White Wolf tribe's territory. And when looking at the file, the cadets who will do the mission are lower middle cadets including Bellops. And when remembering this, Jin is sure that his father has another reason why he gave him this mission. And the reason why his father did this, he must have heard of his fight with Bellop. It's not here that Jin is annoyed, instead, he's excited, because if this is a test that his father gave him, then he will finish it perfectly. 3 days later, in the southern border area to be exact. The objective of the mission this time is to find the heir to the royal family of Jeanville, Semberville. And since the guild is divided, Jin will set up base in the center of the southern border as soon as we arrive. And when all is ready, each will begin the search. And to avoid casualties, Jin asked the cadets to pair up and not fight the enemy. And if things were worse they had to return to the main base to inform the other cadets about the information they got. After instructing it, the search mission begins. An unnatural envelops told me that Eddington saw the beastmen of the Watertail tribe. Knowing that, Jin was relieved that the tribe was docile, and if the tribe was here, it meant that there was no tribe of White Wolf. Well, after doing several ways, Jin felt strange about why the mission went well. Did father test me? And while thinking about this, Bellop came back and announced that the second group was attacked. Knowing this, Jin immediately came there, while the different groups would split up to avoid enemy attacks. On the way there, Jin asked who attacked them. Was it beastmen? Bellop replied that Group 2 was attacked by humans, and now only 3 people have been confirmed. And during the search, they stopped when they saw blood and footprints. And when examining, Jin thought that the second group was still alive. Then after following the footprints, Jin finally found a sailor. And shortly after the preparations, Jin asked the cadets to attack simultaneously. And according to their plan, they can overthrow them and free the captured cadets. The arrested cadet said that Mesa was caught. Knowing this fact, Jin immediately interrogated one of the perpetrators and gave him 2 choices. Dead doesn't tell anything or dies by giving facts to his group, and if he tells this, then Jin promises not to kill his family or those closest to him. And here the actor who couldn't avoid finally said that he was a part of the revolutionary group called Canzello. And while remembering this name, Jin remembered that in his previous life, that group was known as a terrorist organization that existed even when Jin died. And at that time, the guild could throw the world into chaos after killing King Jin and massacring the people. They call themselves a revolutionary group. But what revolutionaries by Canzello meant was to make their king the king of the whole world. The perpetrator explained that the group's branch headquarters was near the entrance to the Beastmen territory. There were around 24-star martial experts and a few magicians. And because already knew the location, Jin asked them to capture the mesa. The perpetrator replied that it was for propaganda to spread our revolution. And after getting the information, Jin immediately killed and would keep his promise not to kill his family. And here, because feeling that the base is very dangerous for the other cadets, Jin asked Bellop and the others to go to the base first, where he will save Mesa alone. At first, the cadets refused because they chose death rather than putting Jin in a dangerous condition. But Jin refuses because they are all his responsibility, so if there is a victim, he will surely regret it. Then after everyone came back, Jin started searching for the existence of Mesa with his detector ability. And after his ability spread, finally the Jin detected the presence of the enemy. It didn't take long for Jin to rush there. On the way, the impression was suddenly that the enemy had surrounded and attacked him simultaneously. But the worst part is that there are magic users who are strong enough. Of course, the enemy who knows that the man is from the Runcandel clan believes they can beat him, because in Clan Runcandel using magic is forbidden. But apparently, the enemy thought wrong, because Jins can use magic. And as a result, some of their magic attacks didn't work and were successfully broken. And with that, Jin managed to defeat them and immediately headed to the door of the Beastmen territory. After arriving there, Jin immediately used his fire magic to set fire to the place, aiming to make the enemy panic. And in this condition, Jin immediately slashed them one by one, until finally Jin got the key where Mesa was detained. After entering a room, Jin finally found the existence of Mesa, which turned out to be in the basement. Of course, Mesa, who knew that Master was here, was quite surprised, especially when he was alone. Meanwhile, on the side of Jin, immediately frees Mesa and will take him away from there. But before going up to the top, suddenly there was a shock. And it turns out that when outside, the White Wolf tribe has gone berserk and killed several members of Canzello. Seeing this, Jin made Mesa faint. He did this so that Mesa would not interfere in his fight, because to fight the White Wolf, Jin must use his black sword, because the White Wolf tribe is known to have a very strong physique. So a normal sword slash wouldn't be enough to injure the monster. A few days before the start of Jin's Empire mission, the Runcandel family, we see Jin practicing releasing shadow energy on his white sword. Jin focused all energy on that sword. Shadow energy emerges slowly from the sword. Then, from behind, Mirakin immediately kicked him, causing Jin to fall over. Mirakin scolds him if he wants to die. I told you before not to use that power, because Jin's ability is not enough. If he takes it carelessly, the shadow energy will poison his body. Mirakin was very upset and asked him not to use it anymore. Meanwhile, with an annoyed and guilty expression, Jin just ignores it. The story returns to the battle in the dungeon. Then in front of him is a strong-bodied wolf monster named Kuajito Truca. He is a warrior of the Truca family, White Wolf tribe, a tribe born for fighting and killing. A fully grown white wolf, around at least a 6-star warrior. They are also known for hating the Runcandel family, and for that reason, the first patriarch of Runcandel summoned their god, the great white wolf Javier, and killed him. Of course, this is a very difficult opponent for Jin, considering he also has to bring Mesa. Truca was very pissed off and was about to offer the genie to Javier's altar to make the legend's soul calm forever. Even though he looks fierce and deadly, Truca is a wise fighter. He gives Jin a choice whether he wants to fight honorably or run away like a loser. Without reasoning, Jin answered emphatically that he would fight. Jin drew his sword, which means ready to fight at any time. Truca was very happy to hear that because Jin has self-respect. Then Truca moved quickly, swinging his hammer at Jin. Luckily Jin was able to avoid it, but Truca's attack didn't end there. After landing his hammer on the ground, he immediately swung back at Jin's face. Even though Jin can withstand these fast attacks, it can be seen here that Jin is very overwhelmed. But he had the chance to blow it away. In his mind, Jin still has a chance to win because he still has a reliable card that my enemy doesn't know. The first way is to use the pendant from Luna and Magic and Shadow Energy. Actually, the pendant is very suitable for situations like this, but if I use it then I won't be able to get stronger. While Magic alone is not the right choice considering he can't defense the White Wolf tribe only with 4-star Magic. Other problems would also arise if using magic, and would definitely result in the Guardian Knights finding traces of my magic easily. So using magic is something that is very fatal if caught. This means that there is only one choice for him now, whether he likes it or not he has to use Shadow Energy. While thinking of this method, Jin struggled to endure the brutal attack so as not to be seriously injured. Truca was very surprised by his sword because the white sword was similar to the famous black sword of the Runcandel family. With a smile on his face, he slightly praised Jin's appearance, even though his appearance was like that, but it turns out that your strength is stronger than your appearance. Truca swings hammer again, but Jin can blocks it time and time again, even though he couldn't counterattack the wolf. Now what Jin was doing was recalling the sensei from taking out the sword like that night. Even though he's been careful, it seems that Jin is still having trouble getting it out. And what made it even more difficult was the wolf's powerful attack. Jin thought hard before the hammer hit him, and coincidentally he can finally feel the sensation. Shadow energy begins to emerge from his body. Slowly the shadow covered the wolf's vision. Even seen here, even though they were only 1 meter away, the wolf couldn't see him. Then in extreme silence, Jin swung his sword horizontally at the wolf's belly. His blade turning pitch black signified that he was successfully expelling his shadow energy. Jin just realized why. He didn't understand why Runcandel was famous for their black sword, and it turns out that this lethal ability is the reason. Here we can see that Truca was so badly injured in the stomach that he was speechless. With such deep wounds, he finally died. Next, something strange happened to Jin's body. His head started to hurt, shadow energy began poisoning his eyes. He screamed very loudly because shadow energy had already spread throughout his body. Then in the darkness lots of weird mouths insulted him, saying that Jin is useless, what do you do when you're that weak? The more insults, the more pain Jin made. The dark energy also seemed to be poisoning his heart. Suddenly, in that desperation, there were footsteps approaching him. That person was none other than Muraken. Muraken scolded him again because Jin broke his word. And this is the reason why I banned you before. Muraken gives the motivation to rise and fight the shadow energy. Jin began to rise from the slump and tried to release the shadow energy on his body. Then he focused on coating his body with mana release. Despite such pain, mana release was quite effective. The first attempt failed, but Jin will focus more. Finally, with his precision, he was able to release the shadow energy. After successfully releasing it, Jin felt strange because the energy was completely gone. But the most important thing now was bringing Mesa back. Suddenly there was a strange voice, and it turned out to be a young man asking for help. Jin asked who you were. The yellow-haired man explained that he was Semberville from the Jeanville royal family, and exactly once he was commanded to seek it. Hearing this, Sembar felt very happy because now he is finally safe. Since he has found this young man, then we must return now. Jin asked him, how did you get kidnapped by Canzello? Sembar says that he is following his beloved. Actually not his girlfriend, because my girlfriend died 2 years ago. But his voice and his face, in fact, all resemble my beloved. Even though it looks crazy, it's very similar to her. Hearing that, Jin thought that surely this was Berber Gaston's doing. Jin thought that they kidnapped Sourcevile for money, then is there some kind of connection between them? Actually, this is the second time Jin has dealt with him since he was 10 years old. So it seems there really is a problem with that middle-aged man. It seemed he had to meet and see what the middle-aged man looked like. It just so happened that the place he worked at was in the kingdom of Ciaron. He would look for opportunities to meet him during intermediate training. After they returned to the starting place, Sember thanked Jin a lot for helping him. If Jin asks for help, I will help him anytime. After returning from that place, Gilly was happy because the young master had completed the first mission. Muraken in his cat form, on the other hand, came straight at him. In great annoyance, Muraken bit his hand, reasoning that Jin was too reckless to use that power. The reason why Muraken is so angry is because Jin is the only soldier who is still alive. Jin then explained the reason why he used this power because he didn't know how strong the enemy he was fighting was. And in the end, will later use this power in a depressed state. Jin is very sure of his decision even though he knows the stakes are his own life. Here Jin also feels strange because he can know that I use the sword. Nurekan explained that shadow energy suddenly jumped from 3-star to mid 4-star. Of course, hearing this Jin was very surprised and tried to interpret his ability. And sure enough, the power of the shadow energy became stronger. Nurekan says again if the genie has to thank Solder, it's thanks to him that 11 people have experienced shadow energy drunkenness. Of the 9 people died. 2 people who succeeded in doing this were Nurekan and Jin. Then so that Nurekan wouldn't be angry anymore, Jin diverted the topic by asking Gilly to make strawberry pie. Moving into another room, a woman was talking about Jin's progress in the past few years, especially his victory against the White Wolf, which Jin should have been absolutely impossible to beat. They were both and the 9th representative of the Runcandel family, and Mayu the 8th representative of the Runcandel family. They both looked weird and asked Daytona why the genie could beat the monster. Of course, getting this question made them both panic a little and say it was impossible, even though they already know that Jin can definitely do it. But that's not what they have a problem with, because Jin will join the middle class. Of course, this is a critical situation, because if Jin is here then this is the end for us. They imagine that Jin is like a devil that they can't beat. They sighed realizing their bad luck. Mayu and Anne, who had realized this, asked the 2 younger brothers to be honest. Actually, Anne and Mayu will provide special favors, so use them wisely. Runcandel's intermediate training class follows the law of the jungle. 3-star 5-star is in this class. Newcomers or those who have been in this class for more than 10 years, Mayu and Anne will select several cadets and treat them like slaves. This means that Daytona and Haytona can choose them and teach the youngest one a lesson. Since Anne and Mayu don't like Jin, then they better do well, otherwise I will punish you. The story moves from Jin who wants to become stronger to surpass all of them. Of course, he was aiming for 10 stars, and only one person could reach beyond it, none other than the demigod Celestial Knight. So in this life, he intends to surpass that person no matter what. As we know, Jin intends to master the middle class first, because if he can't do it, he will be bullied all over. The next day, Jin was called by his mother to talk about something. Not long ago, Mom heard that Jin had successfully completed the mission. Then, according to the report, Jin also refused the mother's suggestion to change rooms, even though the room was quite special, because it can only be inhabited by someone who will become the patriarch in the future. At this time, the room was empty since Joshua used it when he was little. Even though he knows this fact, Jin still rejects it on the grounds that the place is just a room, and for me, the room is too much. Since Jin had rejected the proposal, his mother couldn't do anything else. After Jin left the room, his mother was quite disappointed and asked when his son became greedy. But there is a good thing here, namely Jin already knows the risks of owning the room. If he chooses, then he will be given the full support of the family. But at the same time, he is also the target of the other brothers. We're back again from Jin, who gave instructions to the cadets that starting tomorrow I will enter the middle class. In the middle class, there is such a thing as a faction. And you will all be my faction, you too must endure all ridicule. But they don't need to worry because I won't let them. For that, until outside practice time, Jin asks you to group up at least 2-3 people, no one wanders alone. The next day, Zed Runcandel is Runcandel family elder, 8-star knight, Ciaron Runcandel's younger brother. He will oversee all the cadets here and is their trainer. This year there were 10 rookies who joined and around 27 trainees were expelled. He asked the novices to learn the harsh life from the seniors. Even though Zed is here as a trainer, he won't stop them if there is an internal dispute, unless there is a murder. Then Zed asked all the seniors to loudly shout their oath that Runcandel is not weak. The reason why they all screamed like that was due to dropping the beginner's mentality. Of course, that annoyed Jin, especially since he saw the Tona brothers in the middle class. When he saw them, Jin found that there was a cadet who didn't seem to have graduated. He doubted that this person was a cadet from the Tona brothers. Perhaps this person was also an emissary from Mayu and Anne. This makes him feel annoyed and will teach them a lesson. Jin immediately moved towards them. Obviously, this made the Tona brothers panic. Did Jin already know about his plan? Then when in front of him, Jin pulled out a sword and directly slashed the cadet next to the Tona brothers. Instantly it all fell silent. The Tona brothers scolded Jin why he did that. Then unknowingly the Tona brothers let slip and revealed that that person was the cadet. It was only there that Jin explained the reason why he cut off this man's arm. The reason was that the man gave me a killing aura. Of course, all who saw it were very surprised because the hegemony conflict had occurred. Zed, who saw that, felt very happy and could not give punishment to Jin, because this was an internal dispute between them, and therefore the Jin's deeds are a tradition passed down from Runcandel. Then Jin shouted to all the cadets present, "Whoever dares to oppose him, I will cut off your hands like this man." Suddenly this made Zed angry because Jin had done whatever he wanted. Jin replied that he said all that because he wanted to fight with you. Hearing this from the boy made Zed angry and asked him to explain what was actually said. If your answer is wrong, then I will immediately cut off your head. Well, that's all for Swordmaster's youngest son. If you are interested in our next story, just wait for it only on this channel. Thank you and sayonara.